Hello, today we're going to look at 13.4, which is the law of cosines. Now, first we want to look at this situation. If I wanted to set up this situation and solve for x, if I want to use the law of sines, I would say the sine of 50 is equal, or over x, is equal to, say if this is a and b, I could say the sine of a over 13, but I can't solve this because there's two variables. Or I could say sine of b over 21, and I have the same situation. So I can't solve this with the law of sines. Or if I wanted to solve this, I could say sine of x over 7 is going to equal the sine of y over 8. And again, I can't solve that because there's going to be two variables. So what we need to use is this thing called the law of cosines. Now the law of cosines is for any right triangle and acute angle A, the side lengths A, B, and C, where A is opposite big A, we'll say is A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of big A. So I'll show you how to use that down here. So if I wrote this out again, A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. Now what's confusing is there's a C times cosine. So just notice, as I'm not repeating myself here, that's 2 times B times C times the cosine of A. Now little a is the opposite side, which is confusing because here it's C. But I'll just keep it as A. A squared is equal to 40 squared. Now B and C are these two sides. It doesn't matter which one you choose for B and which one you choose for C. Plus 24 squared minus 2, that's a minus 2 times 40 times 24 times the cosine. Let me see if I can move this over a little bit. Yeah. Give myself a little bit more room there. Times the cosine of my angle in between, which is 80. Now to do this, I would do this whole thing in your calculator at once if you have one of these fancy dancy TIs. I'd type in 40 squared plus 24 squared minus 2 times 40 times 24 times the cosine of 80. Now make sure your calculator is in degree mode, and if I do that, a squared is going to be 1842, so 1842.6. All right, so if that's what this side squared is, what we have to do is square root that to find out what a is. So the square root of this number, I'm going to do second squared, so second, and then that button. And now I'm just going to look at the answer, so I'm just going to do second answer. 42.9. So A is equal to 42.9, and then whatever units this is, whether it's inches, centimeters, what have you, because that's the side length. All right, I want you to try this one and see how well you do. So pause the video and see what comes out. All right, hopefully you're done with this one. A squared is going to equal 1.72 squared plus 2.65 squared minus 2 times 1.72 times 2.65 times the cosine of the angle in between, which is 83. All right, so now I type all of this in my calculator at once. So 1.72 squared plus 2.65 squared minus 2 times 1.72 times 2.65 times the cosine of 83. That equals 8.8. So a squared is equal to 8.87. So if I square root that, so square root the answer, now a is equal to 2.97, so 2.98 that would round to. So that's my value for EF. All right, hopefully that's the answer you got. Now this one is a little bit different situation because we're looking for an angle. So let's plug in all of our information. So a squared is the number straight across, so that's going to be 4 squared is equal to 6 squared and 6 squared. So that's 6 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times a times b times the cosine of the angle in between. All right, so now we can do this all out. And so we have 16 is equal to 36 plus 36 minus 36 times 2, which is 72 cosine x. So now we have to subtract 36 from both sides, actually twice. So 16 minus 36 minus 36. So if I plug that into my calculator, 16 minus 36 minus 36 will get us to negative 56 is equal to negative 72 cosine of x. Now notice how you can subtract these, but you can't subtract this because this is multiplied to the cosine x. So what we need to do here is divide by negative 72, divide by negative 72, and so we have cosine of x is equal to negative 56 divided by negative 72, negative 0.7 repeating. Or no, that's just positive 0.7 repeating. So now what I have to do to find x is take the inverse cosine of this answer, so second cosine, second answer, and my angle, x, was at 38.9 degrees. Hopefully that made sense. If not, pause it, make sure you have the work all down. And now I want you to try this one on your own. So pause the video and see if you can get this one. All right, hopefully you are done. So what we can do is we can say at opposite side, which is 11. 11 squared is going to equal 7 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 times 7 times 15 times the cosine of y. So we find all of these numbers. 121 is equal to 49 plus 225 minus, this would be 30 times 7, which would be 210. So now we'll take and subtract 49 and 225. So we have 121 minus 49 minus 225. Negative 153 is equal to negative 210 cosine of y. Now we divide by 210 on both sides, so the cosine of y is equal to negative 153 over negative 210, which if I divide that by negative 210, I get 0.7286. So now if I want to find my angle, I take the inverse cosine of that answer, and I get 43.2. So y is equal to 43.2 degrees. That's what we would get here. All right, hopefully this makes sense. And here is your homework. Good luck.